Breaking right now. Prince Andrew has in the past hour been summoned to appear before congressmen in Washington, D.C. for questioning over his links to Jeffrey Epstein. Let me show you this letter from the Congress of the United States. This, I do point out, is a Democratic committee.
All right, let's break this down. Because, wow, there's a lot going on in this latest royal saga. Between King Charles finally stripping Prince Andrew of his Prince and Her Royal Highness titles, Prince Harry attempting a charm offensive to win back British hearts, Prince William striding confidently onto the world stage at COP in Brazil, and Meghan Markle quietly trying to restart her acting career, it's chaos. Pure royal chaos. So, let's unpack all of it, in plain English, and make sense of what's really happening behind all the drama.
And they say, in the interests of justice for the victims, this is a direct letter, by the way, to Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. Apologies if I've referred to him as a prince, because of course that is wrong, but it's a lifelong habit, which I'm going to have to get out of. In the interest of justice for the victims of Jeffrey Epstein, we request that you cooperate with the committee's investigation by sitting for a transcribed interview with the committee. Now, this is disastrous timing for both Prince William, who we're going to talk about, has made a major address at the COP summit today in Brazil after the Earthshot Prize last night, and Prince Harry, who is desperately trying to steal the attention from his older brother, and, by the way, convince us Brits that he's just the happy-go-lucky veteran, and, you know, he didn't accuse us all of racism for voting for Brexit a couple of years ago, so we will get to all of that. But this has truly been another disastrous day for the Andrew, formerly known as Prince, with the King finally issuing the letters patent which strips him formally of his titles. Watch as the news broke this afternoon.
We begin with breaking news this afternoon. In the past half hour or so, King Charles has formally removed Andrew Mountbatten Windsor's Prince title and his HRH style by issuing what's called a letters patent. Details of that have been published by the Crown Office in the Gazette, saying the King has been pleased by letters patent under the Great Seal of the Realm, dated 3rd of November 2025, to declare that Andrew Mountbatten Windsor shall no longer be entitled to hold and enjoy the style, title or attribute of Royal Highness and the titular dignity of Prince.
But meanwhile, Prince Harry, who I think should just be Harry Mountbatten Windsor too, is on a charm offensive for those of us in the United Kingdom. But are we really going to forgive this scumbag who not only accused all of us of racism, but also accused his own family and the institution run by his late grandmother of racism? So here's the headline. Harry says he currently lives in the US, with a comment likely to spark speculation that he doesn't see America as his forever home, as he urges Brits not to forget veterans once the uniform comes off, in what LBC, the left-wing LBC, describes as a passionate Remembrance Day essay. But as the Royal News Network posted in response, says the man who abandoned his family, duty, and country, you can't make this stuff up. So let me just take you through what Prince Harry has actually said via this article by Tom Sykes in The Royalist.
Now, while Andrew's losing everything, Harry's busy trying to win back something: British approval. Out of nowhere, Harry publishes a Remembrance Day essay, supposedly heartfelt and patriotic, where he suddenly talks about how much he still loves Britain, his service, and the good old British banter. He even says, "Though I currently live in the United States, Britain is and always will be the country I proudly served and fought for."
He writes, Prince Harry has inadvertently sparked speculation about plans long denied by his team that he one day plans to return to the UK by saying he currently lives in the UK. lives in the US. He recently told a podcaster he had no plans to become a US citizen. He made the new remark not in an off-the-cuff interview, but in a written article distributed on Global Newswires about Remembrance and Veterans Day celebrations, which take place all this week. Harry has provoked suspicions he is trying to take attention off his brother Prince William by travelling to Canada to support such causes today, the same day William presents his Earthshot Awards in Brazil. In the article entitled The Bond, the Banter, the Bravery, What It Means to be British, Harry, who moved to the US 5 years ago, paid special tribute to the wounded Ukrainian servicemen and women he spent time with earlier this year at the Superhumans Rehab Hospital in Kiev. He said, "These people reminded me that bravery is not the absence of fear, but the triumph of purpose over it." Then he said, "There is a similar stoic spirit of self-deprecation and humour in Ukrainians that I recognise more than any other in us Brits. Though currently I may live in the United States, Britain is and always will be the country I proudly served and fought for. The banter of the mess, the clubhouse, the pub, the stands, ridiculous as it stands. These are the things that make us British. I make no apology for it. I love it." But as Tom Sykes says, the comment is likely to provoke raised eyebrows at the palace and more vocal criticism online, where Harry is often accused of betraying Britain by attacking its monarchy and overstating his active military service. And Connor Tomlinson, I actually think that's a bit of an understatement, okay? Because what Harry has done, I think, is treacherous. I think it's treasonous. And do you remember a couple of years ago when he was totally ensconced in the US and believed that he would be there forever and that his marriage was perfect and all of that, he was constantly unable to say one positive thing about the United Kingdom. And I will never forget that Netflix documentary where he basically painted the United Kingdom as a racist hellhole because of Brexit, and also criticised the Commonwealth, which was his late grandmother's life work, as being British Empire 2.0. Remember, he dragged all of those hard leftist British haters on. So this 180 to now sort of try and win us back, it's not working for me. Is it working for you?
Well, the Commonwealth is British Empire 2.0, but not in the way that Harry thinks, given the levels of Commonwealth migration we've had in the last few years. But Dan, it's clear that this is another PR exercise because his adventurism in America hasn't got quite as well as his adventurism in Afghanistan. You might be able to correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, but in Spare, wasn't he complaining that essentially his military service had basically been thankless? So even though people lauded him for being involved in the military, even though people thought that he was a sort of a lad about town for his raunchy escapades in Vegas, even though people turned out and congratulated him for his marriage to Meghan, it seems that he is, well, quite ungrateful for his station, has derelicted his duty representing one of the most historic institutions in Britain, and has thereby contributed to the degradation of people's respect for the institution. I mean, his father hasn't done great either, bending over backwards for Islam, helping the World Economic Forum, being more obsessed with vaccines and climate change than saving his own country from being demographically and culturally swamped. And then you've got, yet again, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, who persists under a dark cloud of his at least friendship with Jeffrey Epstein, if not engagement in questionable activities with Mr. Epstein. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not he complies with this request by the US congressional body to give a written interview. I think Democrats are pushing for this because they recognize that President Trump has been quite weak and mishandled the issue of Epstein. He's been flippant, trying to dismiss it, and it's probably because he's been frustrated by his team, particularly Pam Bondi's incompetent handling of the Epstein files, promising she's got this mountain of evidence on her desk that has never materialized just so she can get her Fox News clip and generate some traction. So all around, it's not looking good for the royals, and I don't think that Harry's going to be able to recover his damaged public reputation over in Britain.
And here's the letters patent. I mean, it is a bit of a historic moment, Connor, even though it was well signposted, because remember, for a long time there was this idea, well, there's going to have to be a debate in Parliament and stripping the titles just isn't possible. Well, it actually is, which I think sends a shiver down the spine of Prince Harry over there in Montecito, because I think by the end of his life, his brother will seek revenge and he will be Harry Mountbatten Windsor. I really do believe that. But let me just show you, because it is this historic moment. There's the very short update, given the significance of what the king is doing. The king has been pleased by letters patent under the Great Seal of the Realm dated 3rd of November 2025 to declare that Andrew Mountbatten Windsor shall no longer be entitled to hold and enjoy the style, title or attribute of Royal Highness and the titular dignity of Prince. And it's gone. You know, something that the late Queen Elizabeth II always considered his birthright, being known as Prince Andrew, is gone. Which means, in my view, there's no reason why Prince Harry should be Prince Harry, and there's no reason that Meghan Markle should be the Duchess of Sussex, to be completely honest.
Cue the collective British eye roll, because this is the same guy who, not too long ago, described Britain as a racist hellhole, slammed the press, blamed Brexit for xenophobia, and called the Commonwealth Empire 2.0. He dragged his own country and family in a Netflix documentary, and now, suddenly, his all-Union Jack and pub jokes again. This week's events mark a turning point. Prince Andrew's royal identity is gone for good. Prince Harry's reputation is on life support. Meghan's career revival looks like a cry for attention.
Yeah, I think that logic's quite sound. The only thing I would say, Dan, is that I don't think he's going to be Harry Mountbatten Windsor. He's probably going to be Harry Markle, given his praise for progressive feminism might cause him to adopt her surname instead.
Now, I'm not sure if you're going to be impressed, Connor, with William's speech today. So he hosted the Earthshot Prize last night, which was a huge success, very star-studded, Kylie Minogue, Shawn Mendes. But of course, you do have the Woketopians there too. You know, the Jacinda Arderns, the Sadiq Khans, the Slippery Starmers. And today, I don't know, verging into political territory at COP, where he was representing his father, by the way, because of the King's deteriorating health. Watch this.
Affecting lives across the UK and across the world, from small towns to major cities, from coastal communities to inland regions. No corner of the globe will be unaffected. These impacts pose risks to growth, security, and well-being in all countries. But we know that these risks often fall hardest on those who contributed least to the crisis. This demands urgent, coordinated action. We must ask ourselves, what legacy do we wish to leave? Because the impact of all our choices will be felt by us all around the world, in the safety of their homes, the stability of their livelihoods, and the health of the natural world that sustains us all.
Now, Connor, given the terrible press that the royal family has had over the past month, William's trip, in my view, has actually been a triumph in Brazil. The imagery was incredible. You know, he was barefoot and, playing the volleyball and all of that. But this speech today, is it risky? You know, given that the whole issue of nut zero, as I call it, is now very much back on the table of British politics. What previously was just like a complete nodding through by the Uni Party is now a hotly contested issue, with Reform UK leading in the polls, saying hell no. The Tories coming to that point of view against, of course, a surging Green Party. So is it wise? Do you think it's wise for our future king to be involving himself in this zone?
No, but I don't think he can help himself, Dan, because it's been his father's project for many years, and he's taken up the mantle of mental health and climate issues. If you were talking in terms of conservation, your love of the land, England's rolling hills, its beautiful birds and its native species, mainly mammals, of course, not as people, that is a concern, then you would be talking in terms of not carpet bombing the countryside with concrete high-rises. And if you were talking about those paying a high price who have not disproportionately contributed to the degradation of our atmosphere, you would be saying, well, Britain only contributes 1% of annual carbon emissions, whereas the Chinese are doing upwards of 30. Most of the polluted rivers in the world are 2 out of Africa and the rest are from Asia. Might be the other way around, actually. And China and India are opening up new coal-fired power plants. Absolutely no repudiation by them breaking their Paris Accord commitments. So what that speech was actually saying about those who contribute the least but bear the greatest burden is another intersectional racial justice dog whistle saying, and of course it's black and indigenous communities who are the most impoverished but who suffer the most from carbon monoxide or carbon dioxide or any other gas that they want to complain about on any given day. And so I think this just falls on deaf ears. Like the climate issue now is a pure luxury belief, not just for the developing third world who don't care about their utopian green projects because they're too poor to not burn coal rather than dung and wood, but also because the rest of us are paying exorbitant taxes and subsidies for renewables that don't work when the wind doesn't blow and the sun doesn't shine, and our energy bills are only escalating, so that the political class can jet around the world to places like Brazil and give speeches about how good they feel about themselves. So I think this is yet another example of the royals being just as out of touch as our politicians are, and when the time comes to replace the political class, if the honour of the House of Windsor is in question, then I don't think this speech helped them win back any brownie points.
And Prince William, for all his composure, is starting to sound more like a politician than a future king. The House of Windsor is still standing, but it's wobbling. The facade of unity and dignity that Queen Elizabeth II maintained for 70 years has crumbled. In its place, competing egos, PR stunts, and a growing public fatigue. Harry may write heartfelt essays. William may give moving speeches. Meghan may act her heart out. But at the end of the day, the public's patience is wearing thin. The monarchy's survival won't depend on climate summits or Netflix scripts. It'll depend on whether the next generation can find authenticity again. And right now, that feels like the hardest role yet. Let me know what you think about this video in the comment section. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of my future uploads. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments.